Okay.
Beautiful.
We are live.
We're live. Fantastic. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everybody, for joining. My name is Austen Berndhardt. I'm part of the sales team here on ChargeAutomation. I'm joined with Jannik Abraham. He's the managing director at Smoobu. Very excited to have you here, Jannik. And we have a little special guest too, Nick Rennie. He's also on the ChargeAutomation team, heading up the marketing and growth. But really, I wanted him here to talk a bit more of his experience as a property manager. He has around 20 properties in the south of Spain. So, having one of us from like kind of each aspect of the experience hopefully will help the conversation, be pretty fruitful for everybody joining. So fantastic. So today's, live session is all about upsells. So we'll have a discussion, the three of us, a little bit about upselling, strategies for upselling, and how both ChargeAutomation and Smoobu are working together in improving that experience for both the guest and the property managers that are, offering those upsells. We'll do a Q&A at the end, so feel free to ask questions as we're discussing. If it's really, interesting question, maybe we'll just take it live, like in the discussion, if it's really relevant. But we'll probably keep the questions to the end and kind of answer them as they're coming in. And of course, hopefully this is a great conversation that everyone can kind of take something away from. That's the overall goal, and we'll go from there.
I just want to say one thing. If you put your questions on LinkedIn, that's the place to do it. So if you're not signed in on LinkedIn, please do it on there. I'll be going through those questions and sharing them with everybody. We'll put them on screen. All right.
Beautiful. Okay.
Good.
Okay. So I think, then what we'll do is we'll kind of just dive right into it. I know upsells have been, we can also do a little
well, let's do a little intro what we both offer. I think it's always a good start. Yeah.
I'm so excited, Nick. It's just I want to just jump right into it. So a quick overview of what ChargeAutomation really is. It's a full-fledged guest experience platform. We have a fantastic integration with Smoobu, so both systems are going to be talking back and forth to each other. There's things like ID verification, contactless check-in, of course, all these one-click upsells and different ways to integrate your payment gateways that you need. Security deposit, all that stuff. We have also, hundreds of different payment methods included in those payment in the payment side of things. So guests can use Apple Pay, Google Pay, things like that. And doing rental agreements, smart lock integrations, everything you need for your guest experience. And then Jannik, do you want to talk a little bit about Smoobu? I don't have to do that for you.
I can. I think that works. No, I'm actually with Austen. I'm so excited to just jump into the topic that I almost forgot that we're going to do the intros. So thanks a lot for having me. For everyone, I'm Jannik. I'm the managing director of Smoobu. Very glad to be here. I think when the guys first reached out, I love the topic. I love the format for us of having a live discussion or in general a discussion about anything or such a particular topic that adds host value. Maybe a couple of things to Smoobu, for whoever doesn't know us yet, don't worry, I'm going to keep myself short and brief. We are a Berlin-based but globally operating channel management and property management software company specifically for short-term rental owners and especially focused on the long tail of the market, meaning private hosts and smaller property managers, meaning 1 to 10 properties is the sweet spot. You can also use the software if you have a couple of more, but it really is the sweet spot is really smaller hosts and property managers that are on that spectrum of the market. As Austen mentioned, why I also really like to jump on the talk. We do have a wonderful integration with ChargeAutomation, which works properly, and why I really like it. It is just something that adds value for the host and the guest in the end. So you do have all those things that in the end are not just gimmicks or nice to haves or whatever things that are out there just for the beauty of it, but you really see the value with it. And you can do a lot of other things with our software. It's basically an all-in-one software solution where you can have different integration partners and so on and so forth. I'm not going to bore you with the details of it. Anyone who wants to have a look at it, go to smoobu.com. That works. Every information is on there. If you have anything particular, reach out to me on LinkedIn, for example. Happy to walk you through. Today, we're going to focus on the stuff that's actually interesting, how we can add more value to you as hosts, and how you as hosts can add more value for guests and improve the guest experience.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I know, like, upsells are all the talk right now with, Airbnb earlier. I think this month or last, really jumping into upsells and trying to take control of that, that revenue stream, because, Airbnb is noticing how effective and important upsells are. So, when our customers have been doing upsells, right since the beginning, they totally get the value of it. So, really breaking down this idea, what is really the future of upselling? How do you kind of focus your efforts in your upselling strategies to really, take advantage of, what your guests are looking for and what they're needing part of their stay, and making sure it's readily available to, convert those upsells, right?
Would you say, especially if you look at your customers or in general, because we do see everything on the spectrum from total beginners in the short-term rental market to pros that have a lot of properties or a lot of experience in the market, would you say there is a certain entry point where you should focus on upsells, or?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I find any customer that has never done upsells before or is just kind of dipping their feet, the classic one that everyone is comfortable with is like an early check-in, late checkout. They've been offering these for years. The hotels industry have been offering them for years. So it's a really great upsell to kind of wet your feet with, because the whole idea of, a guest asks for an upsell and you kind of give it to them either for free or, some sort of add-on to their experience. It's great. And that helps elevate that experience. But, there's a lot of opportunity there, especially for larger property management companies, to automate that entire flow and then, get that in front of the guest at the opportune times.
The funny part is, I'm going to say, like I said, I've got my properties, and it's something we've always done. My business has been around since 1994.
Wow.
And we inherited off my in-laws, and now we're running it now for the past few years. So I've been in this for a short time. My wife has been doing it. She's my business partner. I'm still alive, which is a good thing. But she's been doing it for 10 years, if not longer, 10, 15 years. And upsells, we call them upsells now, but they've always been there in some capacity.
Right.
And I think the problem is now, it's now part for, we're now dealing with this in a more technological sense. Mm-hmm. And the problem is people have dealt with it by calling them up, saying, well, they wait for them to come to the room. The difference is now people they don't want to do the whole contact thing. There are guests that turn up at my property and I never see them. Yeah. But there are other guests who are the older ones, tends to be the older guests. They want to come and talk to you, and we spend hours talking with each other. It's quite amusing, really. And I have, Mrs. Jones telling me about the summer in England and the weather and everything. But then you have the majority who just literally want to book their late checkout online. They just want to get it done, or they want to book their experience. And that's where I think a lot is changing. Upsells have always been in the industry, but it needs to be integrated with your solution, the whole check-in solution, and it has to be made available for the younger crowd. Let's just say, not young crowd, but maybe say forward-thinking crowd who prefer a check-in experience.
That's exactly it. The demographic is changing. We have a new generation that don't want to interact. They don't want to talk to you at the front desk for 20 minutes about, their families. Mm-hmm. So this is why technologies like ChargeAutomation, like, Smoobu, we're completely digitalizing this experience to make sure that, these guests are getting exactly what they want and when they need it. And, I know like some of the, oh yeah.
Yeah, the super interesting part is in the end, just to mention it before I forget about Nick, you might also then, maybe you just put the upsell of selling a lunch with you, or having the opportunity to chat for anyone.
Sure, why not? We could do that right now.
Lunch date with your property manager.
You know what? That's actually not a bad idea. And the funny part is it will probably sell quite well to that demographic. Yeah.
Exactly. It's and that's a good point, right? The differentiation between making it super specific to the guests. And
Exactly.
I think the interesting part and the key word to mention is in the end the guest experience. And guest experience is a lot tied to expectation management. In the end, delivering a super solid guest experience is about matching and or exceeding the expectations they have. So, and unfortunately, for the better or worse, the expectations for vacation rental owners or vacation rentals in general has risen by I know we're live. I need to check my swear words. So by a ton.
A ton.
Let's put it like that.
You did good. You did good there.
Yes. A ton in the past. I got reprimanded before for that. So we're going to keep it PG-12. So the expectation has risen a lot, coming from a time where even in Germany, it's still sometimes the case. You have to bring your own linen. You have to meet the people. You have a lot of stuff that's super old school. But by now, if you compare it, most of the vacation rental guests have the same expectations as for hotel services. They want seamless check-in. They want check-in every time. They want to have all the online tools. As you said, they don't want to meet anybody if they don't want to. So it's all about hey, how can I get that tailored guest experience? And I think upsells or the opportunity to let's put it as additional services, right?
Yeah.
The opportunity to deliver that and or just show that can be one key differentiator for you as a host as well. So you don't offer only lodging, you offer the hygiene factors, seamless check-in, getting in there whenever you want, yada, yada, yada. But now you also have another opportunity to really have this USP towards your competition. And not only the USP towards anybody else or some other people, but also obviously there is also a big revenue potential in there. Margins are getting tighter, the general service is going to be more commoditized, and you can actually get something that, okay, there is another thing I can take care of. I can get a little bit more of revenue in there.
Right.
And from a genuine example on my part, I know we need to move on because Austen's going to tell me off in a second, but just as this is a genuine story on my end. Before I joined the business, we were just doing rentals and really weren't focused at all on the upsell element. But we transformed that, and the difference on our revenue is just phenomenal. The people, the initial attitude is people won't do that. People won't purchase it. And let's face it, I would say, your upsell, your conversion rate on upsells, and that is originally my background is kind of, I'd say probably about the 25%. You're not going to sell this to everybody, and it depends on how you sell. You've got to kind of market it, and that takes effort no matter what. But the one thing we've done, and using ChargeAutomation, is like you said, we tailor our upsells. So on a family, we see there are 2 adults, 2 children. They're going to want a family pack for food. Whereas we're not going to offer them a bottle of champagne. We're not going to offer them a movie romantic pack. It's just useless. So we're never going to offer those things. So we're able to tailor that using ChargeAutomation. I'm going to put it out there because that's what we do. And ultimately, you get that better experience. And we have seen a big uplift in conversions there. So yeah, it's all about how you execute it. And it doesn't have to be complicated. You just have to use the right tools. And I'm going to basically push it. The combination of Smoobu and ChargeAutomation is a great combination because you have that full autonomy, you have that full workflow. Yeah. So it simplifies everything for you as a property manager, and it does bring in big results. There's no doubt about it, and I can say that from personal experience.
Yeah, it's beautiful, and yeah, that's exactly it. Like the idea of personalizing these upsells, making sure that they're relevant to the guests, and making sure it's a seamless experience. They're not stuck, dealing with broken links or, a clunky flow to get these upsells going, right? It's all about creating that seamless guest journey. So maybe we'll talk a little bit about that, what are some smart upselling strategies? How do you create that seamless guest experience with upsells kind of built into that flow?
I guess that's a good question. I don't know. I mean, I don't know, Jannik, if you want to jump in here. But I already mentioned a couple of things on my side. I don't know if there's anything on your end and what your clients are kind of really looking at.
Yeah, I like the part about differentiating a bit along the guest journey and the listing itself, right? You even before you look at the guest journey after booking, basically, you also have opportunities before, right? Because just imagine the possibility. So I always have a nice example. If I think about myself as a guest, I I'm looking at properties, and I have 2 properties at a lake. I used to kayak for 10 years, so I used to do kayaking a lot. One property offers an upsell for going kayaking, one doesn't. I'm probably going to go for the one that offers this, even if I'm never going to use it. So
Yeah.
even pre-booking, there is a thing that you can use. And now if I think about, in the end, currently, guest journey or any digital or general experience, it's all about contextualization.
Yes.
So it's, you have before arrival, during the stay. So you want to get the information that you need at the point when you need it, not at a random point in time. I don't need to know what restaurants are nice in the area 3 weeks before arrival.
Exactly.
I need to know the first day. If I know I'm going to come in late, I want to know, are there any options for restaurants open still? Is there going to be a basket, some food that I can buy? And so on and so forth. So it's really this contextualization aspect. Really think about, does that make sense at this point in time? Because this will increase the conversion rate drastically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. Do you know what, you touched upon a topic there again, and again, it's got nothing to do with my experience, but it's what I see at ChargeAutomation, and that is, if you have upsells, I think you hit the nail on the head as well. Simply by having them, it gives experiences that, it makes you think, well, that property offers a lot more. And I think, just saying, from my perspective, if you go to, you stay at a 5-star hotel, and sometimes you do because you get a great deal. You might see, let's just say, their massage service, which costs €200, and you think, wow, look at that, it's got massages or whatever it might be, or they've got the champagne. It might look great. You might never purchase it, but it's there, and it makes you want to stay there. So even not even selling the upsells can actually drive further revenue, because you're going to get the occupancy rate up, because people feel that they have more services, they have more features, they have more options during their stay. So it has a two-prong effect. It has the effect of driving, almost marketing your product in a more positive way, a more positive light. And like you said, if you can tailor it to the audiences that you have, even better. But on the other side, you also drive the revenue, because on that occasion when they do convert, you're driving additional revenue, which I think is really important. And like you said, as property managers, as a property manager, your margins are getting just becoming so fine these days, with all the authority reporting you got to do, all the taxes, the licensing. You might have seen that in Spain, which is just horrific, but we have to cope with it. And then all the insurance, basically all the costs of the property itself. So those margins are getting smaller and smaller. So you must find these different avenues, otherwise you're going to get left behind. And that's so cool. That's so important there.
Yeah. No. And yeah, I think those unique upsells that speak to the experience that your guests are there for, the area that they're in, and I did like your point, Nick, about the idea, like just having these upsells available, and, maybe not purchasing them, but it helps elevate their experience and makes them feel like, wow, this place is, legit, or this is like a bougie place. These are really helpful ways to maybe, get a family of 4, they see the massage and the romantic types of upsells, like, hey, maybe next time we book this just the 2, and you are able to convert some of those different upsells.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, cool. So let's talk about some actual strategies, actually putting this together, building it out in in ChargeAutomation with Smoobu. When we talk about some top performing upsells, of course, we talked about early check-ins, late checkouts. Those ones are always going to be a bread and butter type of thing. Also things like, transport, different sort of amenities, like a pool heating. I know in the States, that's a big thing as well. There are some pieces of the experience that these guests know are additional, and then we want to make sure that, we make it as easy as possible for them to grab and purchase those upsells, either, before their stay or right when they get in. These are, things we wanted to offer them as soon as possible.
Yeah, no, and one thing I was going to add, I actually added this point: simplicity is key here. And again, my background I did 20 years of CRO work and conversion, which is also quite bizarre going from that to hospitality, but there you go. And there's a very interesting theory here, and it's important for every hospitality manager who wants to implement upsells. Simplicity is key. You have a thing called the paradox of choice. I'm not going to go too much into it, but if you offer too much, you actually end up with a negative result. So make sure you only offer what's absolutely necessary at the time. The taxi, the drink package, maybe the e-bike rental, and the late checkout. Nothing more. You don't need to overdo it. And building an entire store. If you have I don't know. It depends which country you're in. You have, I forget the ones you get in Germany nowadays, but let's just say you're in Carrefour, whatever it might be, but you don't want to have an entire row of options here and then you bemuse the guest. You just want to keep it really, really simple and to the point. And that'll make your upsell strategy way, way, way more effective. It's really important you do that.
Yeah. And in the end, it's not only about simplicity and choices, right? So make use of as we talked about the bit of a generation shift in guest behavior, right? So make use of people being used to using their phone for every freaking thing. By now, every one of us is completely being trained on being able to buy stuff from the phone. And we don't have there's no barrier anymore. I'm very happy to buy stuff on my phone, smaller tickets, even medium-sized tickets. I'm probably not going to buy a car from my phone, maybe. But if you have tickets and stuff that's late in checkout, whatever, for a couple of 30 up to $50, I'm probably going to do it from my phone. So really reduce the friction to get also that done. It's not only about what you sell and how you sell it, but also just like the making it available. If it's a good mobile experience, I'm much more likely to buy it than if I have to go, I see SMS with late checkout available. I'm not going to go to my computer and then do this. Just like make it available. Zack, Apple Pay, there you go. I'm going to check out late, fine. Best case, I got the SMS while I'm having the last bottle of champagne or wine before I check out the next day. And I realize might be a bit later than planned. So
no, exactly. So I think ultimately it's just, like I said, providing those elements, and like you said, with the online experience, it does make it a lot easier. And nowadays, I think people expect it that way now. We offer WhatsApp as well for our guests, but most people want a link. They say, "Well, have you got a link?" So of course people expect that nowadays, and Wi-Fi is offered in all rooms, and I think it's fairly common nowadays. I think nowadays in Europe you get roaming across Europe. So again, from that perspective, most people have data, so it's just a case of providing that to the guest itself. So
So and then of course the big thing when we're talking about these strategies, I'd always say when we're using the integration here with ChargeAutomation and Smoobu, it's making sure that whatever upsells you're offering actually exist. You can actually deliver on those upsells. I've seen, different property managers, hey, we can offer an early checkout or something, but then they take a look at their calendar, like, oh, actually it's a turnover day and we can actually offer that. And you have a guest now that you kind of sold. They're like, yeah, I want an early check-in. This is great. And then you go, actually, no, you don't get that upsell anymore. And it's a terrible guest experience, right?
It's the worst.
It's like a slap on the wrist. I'm just like, wait, why would you think you're going to get that? So a really cool thing that ChargeAutomation does with Smoobu is we automatically check the calendar, and we can only offer an early check-in or late checkout based off the availability. If there's a certain block that the property management company feels comfortable with, we can then offer that upsell. So then when it's offered to your guests, that you'll be able to deliver on that upsell, which is a huge plus. I know, Jannik, you mentioned at the very start, managing and at least meeting that expectation from your guest and then exceeding it, never falling under that expectation.
Yeah, and especially as you mentioned it, right? To be honest, if from a sheer value or experience point of view, what you mentioned is probably the worst case that can happen. You promise something, you set the expectation, so people already anticipate the feeling of nice, I can do that. And if you then take it away from them, it's pretty bad because I think it's the endowment effect. I'm not sure what it is in English, but if someone already has something and then you take it away, that's much worse than not getting it at all.
Yeah.
So it's bad.
And it's the knock-on effect. I mean, again, been there, done that. And sorry, I'll give the anecdote here, but it's absolutely true. You've charged that guest. You've also taken commission charges as a property manager. You've created expectation. So now you need to kind of take all the expectation away. You now need to refund that customer, and that guest, should I say. And the worst thing about that is that refund can take up to 5 working days, maybe even longer. And again, knowing how my guests are, we have guests who literally come with just enough money for their holiday. And many people do this, by the way. You've now taken a portion of their budget away from them because they're not going to get it back during their holiday. They're going to get it back, but you've now put an absolute dampener on their holiday. So that's a terrible experience. And then on your side, on the property manager side, you suddenly have to pay for a commission and you've made no profit. So it's a real smack in the face for both people. So by being able to using ChargeAutomation, and ChargeAutomation, as you said, Austen, can read Smoobu's calendars.
Yes.
But you can also take a pre-authorization, and there is no charge for a pre-authorization. All you're doing there is you're holding that amount. You're not charging the customer, and you're not charging any commission. So should that service not be available, you can also write back to the customer and say, we're really sorry, it's not available. And again, we've done this. And you literally just cancel the pre-authorization. Nobody is charged. There are no commissions. Guest goes away. They're happy. They can spend their money somewhere else. So I think all in all, that leads into a much more positive experience, and that leads to better reviews. And believe me, reviews are everything nowadays when it comes to marketing the property. I panic whenever I see a 3-star below review. I'm on them like an absolute, just go straight there, and I communicate with them and I try and find out why. But yeah, it's so important there. But the cool thing with this is that we have that experience available right now, which is really awesome, and it's super easy to set up as well.
Yeah, I think that's like the biggest part too of now just the delivery on those upsells is like when you do have, ChargeAutomation, pushing and getting guests to purchase these upsells, we automate the payment for it. So then the only thing left for the property management company to do is now deliver on that upsell. So we push that information back into Smoobu. You can create, your tasks through there. And, if it's an early check-in, if it's a boat rental or something, your team can take care of that without worrying about, emailing the guest saying, hey, we need this additional details. Okay, here's your payment link for this. We're removing all of that boring stuff and just helping you deliver on that experience. So I think that's...
And on average, through our stats, we see an average of 5 hours for, let's just say an average size property. That's 5 hours that you save. That's a huge amount of time because you're not going through the whole administrative effort. And then again, come back to my CRO background, you got a 30% increase in upsells as a result, and you're going to get a much better, happier guests. You get better conversion, you get better revenue. So it's just a win-win, really. There's no two ways about it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think the one thing to drive home, you also have this positive upward spiral usually. So the better the guest experience, the better your reviews are going to be. The more repeated guests you also might have in the end. Because I always preach, yes, all the OTAs are super nice to get the guests in the door for the first time, but it's your job to basically keep them. So if you can get them back to your property best case with a better experience, go for it.
No, absolutely. Yeah,
fantastic. And and we've seen all sorts of success stories about property management companies that have started working with upselling and seeing this additional revenue come in. So this is totally doable with any property management company. Either you've been doing upsells for 20 years like Nick in some sort of capacity, or you're just starting brand new.
3 years. I've only done it 3 years.
So you have. I'm saying you're right.
Yeah.
The company, I should say, you're right. Has been doing it. There's a clear and easy, proven way to boost that revenue, get upsells converting, and seeing additional revenue for each unit that you have in your portfolio. No,
absolutely. And I think this shows it. I mean, ultimately, like I said, it's not just a sales pitch. It doesn't matter how you do it, whether you use ChargeAutomation or not. Obviously, we recommend you do. You will see an uplift in your revenue, and ultimately, we just provide the tools to make it a much more seamless experience for you. But upselling has been there from day dot. It's just the way it's been transformed into what it is today. And if it's done right, the results are striking. I think there's no two ways about it. You're looking at just under 2.2K extra revenue, and it's not the biggest amount of effort. That's the thing. So you're saving time, in fact, on your administrative efforts, and you've got that additional upselling, or that additional revenue, should I say? So it's a great result. So.
Yeah, beautiful, cool. So yeah, I think we're a little bit over, but generally, the big points that we've talked about, really what that future of upselling is all about is, adding upsells obviously increases your revenue. It increases your guest experience by, offering the things that your guests want to purchase. I think that's another big thing, like some pushback. It's like, oh, I don't want to ask all these guests for all these extra things. It's like, well, wait, your guests want to purchase these things. They are delighted to purchase these things to improve their experience, and they want to make sure it's an easy process for them. Jannik, you mentioned everything mobile, like having your phone, using that phone to purchase these upsells, making it easy for them, super important. And then, of course, customizing those upsells, making sure it's easy for your guests to, find what they are looking for and what resonates with them. I think that's super important as well.
Yeah, plus also, I think the seasonal point is a good one as well, right? You probably don't want to sell any water sports in winter.
Yeah.
So
exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. So
yeah, I mean, maybe in the south of Spain that probably works, but
that's a year-round upsell for sure.
Maybe the older demographic. I don't know. I mean, yeah, that could be an interesting one for them. But I mean, it's interesting. Actually, one other thing I was going to add on this as well is, like I said, the seasonal thing is absolutely is very important. And again, being able to adapt to that on the fly and being able to change that without having to redo your entire CRM, kind of, let's just say, or your communication, let's just say, the guest, without having to rethink everything. Once everything is in the system, it can be managed accordingly. And when you define those workflows properly, it's there. So again, it gives you time to think about other things whilst generating revenue in the background. I keep repeating that because it's on my end, it's saved me a huge amount of time. So it just, I can say it's a win-win there.
That's exactly it. Yeah. As a property manager, what is working for you, that's really important, right?
Absolutely.
But yeah, fantastic. So yeah, those key takeaways, of course, like we said, better experience with these upsells. We're giving your guests the things they want. Simplifying the experience, making sure that the timing is right. You're offering these upsells at the exact point in time that works. You're going to see better conversion and better reviews because of it. And and then of course the integration between ChargeAutomation, Smoobu does a lot of that. The boring stuff of upsells. The payments, trying to convince them to get said upsell. That's on us. And then the rest is just delivering that upsell experience, which is fantastic.
Awesome. Good.
So I think we should probably open it up to the Q&A here. So thank you, Jannik, Nick, for jumping in and chatting a little bit about upsells. I know both of you have, your different perspectives and experience on upsells. So it's great to pick your brains a little bit and hear what you guys had to say. And and I'd love to hear from everybody that's listening if there are any questions about, either how you can take advantage of this, how, specific details of, the upsell experience. Let's hear them.
We currently have about we had just under 20 people on the channel right now listening. So if anybody's got any questions regarding upselling, it'd be great to kind of hear from them now.
Cool tips and tricks to share.
Any cool? E-bike rentals are one of the hardest things to do. Believe me, that's always a tough one. But when you got it right, it's great. Find a really, really good partner to work with. Actually, that's one thing I was going to say. I really recommend partnering up. I don't think we mentioned this at all.
I know. I was just thinking about that too. I'm like, okay, if there's no questions, we can talk some more about this.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, look, we can give it for 5 minutes, I guess, and see if we get any more. But one thing I was going to say is we do. Obviously, it's really important to kind of be able to partner with people. And again, I partner with a local restaurant for my breakfast service. It's just around the corner from my properties. I can't serve breakfast. We don't have the facilities to do it. Right. But we're able to kind of partner with a restaurant. My wife is also celiac, so we partner with a specialist restaurant too. They're actually a celiac-friendly restaurant to do gluten-free food, and that meant we can also start targeting our kind of communication with celiacs. We can say, hey, we're celiac friendly. We offer that. The other thing is we are partnered with a local bike rental company, and they are super keen to work with us. I mean, just reach out. If you are a property manager, just go to your local amenities, like I said, bike rentals, restaurants. You will find they will desperately want to work with you, not because they're desperate, but because it's great for their business as well. You're driving business to them, and you can negotiate really good commission rates, and it's a case of, I scratch your back, you scratch mine, and it works, really, really nicely. And you're working with local businesses. So if you're out here and you want to kind of do some cool upsells, you want to expand, and you're not sure what to do, think about what you would like as a guest, and go to your local community and speak to your local businesses and see if they want to partner with you. And you will find a lot of companies or businesses will want to do that. We've actually got a question right now, which is awesome. So let's put that one on the screen here. I don't have a name, but it's a LinkedIn user. So yeah. So thank you for everyone for the amazing webinar. Quick question: when it comes to upsells, how much can a short-term rental typically increase its revenue? That's a tough one.
Yeah.
I unfortunately, I probably have to say, maybe Austen, you have a bit more data, but it unfortunately, the lawyer answer, it depends. Also a bit on your
sure,
revenue.
it depends, but it all like it depends about your region, the culture around it. But in our North American segment, we see around like that $40-ish per booking increase in revenue. Once again, all depends on what you're offering. But yeah, like the big thing, depending on how you want to set it up and how involved you want to get into your upsells, you could see a lot more of an increase than just the 40. That's just kind of our average, because some people, are just kind of dipping their toes into upsells. If this becomes an important strategy to your property management company, then yes, you can make a ton of extra revenue with these tools and functions.
To put that a bit into perspective, do you know the average overall booking value that you compare the $40 with?
Well, yeah, like if the average booking rate is around that like $150 to $200 a night, then yeah, that $40 increase, is normally, it all depends on what you're purchasing, but yeah, it's like what is that, like a 10-ish%? Well, not 10-ish, but yeah, around that 15 to 20% increase in revenue that we're looking to kind of build throughout your portfolio.
And I think also you need to think about the markets as well. And obviously, it depends on where your market is, the level of your property. There's so many factors, but certainly you'll always. I think the key thing is, and like I said, the conversion rate. If you do things right, we typically we see about 20%, give or take, and if you do things right, so it's all down to your level. I mean, I offer 2-star accommodation, and people expect a 5-star service, but then that means you've got to offer 2-star prices. It means you can't kind of sell a late checkout, whereas the Hilton would sell it to you for, I don't know what it might be, $50. I can't sell it for that. But obviously, everything is very relative. So, but this is the $40 is generally what we see overall across all our clients. We have another question actually. I don't know. We're done with this one? Shall we move on to the next one? This is actually
So I think Anthony is answering our questions, which is super nice.
There we go. There we go, Anthony. Thank you very much for that, Anthony. So we've been using ChargeAutomation more than 2 years, and average 1 out of 4 guests purchase an upsell, averaging 40. So yeah, there you go. I mean, and so that is a 25% conversion rate right there. So that kind of backs up what I was saying, which is awesome. That's really, really good.
The beauty of it with the upsells is, so psychologically, they're also a bit decoupled from the overall reservation value. So if you have, for example, a vacation rental that the average daily rate in Europe is a bit lower than Northern America, but if it's around 120 euros a night, your upsell can make a much bigger proportion to your overall revenue in the end. Obviously, if you rent out big villas for $5,000 a night, then it gets tricky. That upselling, you need a big service to upsell, but if you have your normal average vacation rental, the upselling can make quite a big difference.
Yeah,
absolutely. I have another question that somebody's actually messaged me because they're struggling to post on LinkedIn. Please let me know if you're struggling here. But I haven't got it. They're asking about damage waivers and also just normal deposits, standard deposits, and does ChargeAutomation support them? Because it's been mentioned, and the answer is yes. So that's actually an interesting one. Funnily enough, we just launched that literally in the last month, so that's really great that you mention it. And damage waivers are an interesting topic. Yeah, in fact, even I had to ask about this. So the standard thing is to offer a security deposit. That is the norm. That's what I do. You pre-authorize a security deposit, and that protects you should anything go wrong. But there is a new element now with damage waivers, which could come in a lot cheaper than a security deposit. But the difference is the property gets to keep that damage waiver. And that is to say, if you damage anything, it's all covered. So yes, we do have that. We do support damage waivers. I don't know, Austen, if you have anything more on your side, I guess, because you've been dealing with this one quite a lot, actually.
Yeah, the only thing I was going to add to that is, we can offer both. And at times, property management companies like to give their guests the option. Would you like to do, a $50 non-refundable damage waiver, or would you rather do an authorization of $200, $250 as a security deposit? You'll get that back after, but it's more money. So you can give your guests the option, which one makes more sense for you. You do have to choose one, but making sure you still have that protection. But then it gives your guests that option, and then we would, our system would be smart enough to remove the other one that they do not choose to use.
Yeah, what's it like actually? Funny enough, and for your clients, I suppose in Germany it's a different kind of. What tends to be the norm out there?
Yeah.
It varies. So
It varies.
we have so many clients. Yeah, I hate to give the lawyer answer. It depends. It's so the norm in Germany is that either you would probably usually get a damage deposit, plug it in, and or have it or not via the OTA ones are, let's say, tricky.
Yeah.
To put it mildly. But I'm just thinking about it. If there are big differences, it depends a bit on the host and the crowd they cater. Usually, we also have a lot of hosts that have a lot of recurring guests or very unproblematic guests where they have, we don't need any damage deposit because usually there is no big things. We never had anything happen, so why in the end take it? But obviously, especially if you're new to the game or want to hedge yourself a bit, you would go for it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense. So I'm curious more on that side. We've got Anthony, who's he's on a bit of a roll here because he's got another question for us, and I think just looking at the time, we've got 3 more minutes. I think we can carry on, but not sure what happened here. A bit of a time. I think it's just the system going a little funny. I think we mentioned this one already. Can upsells like late checkout be automated based on availability, like only showing if there's no back-to-back booking by pulling data from the PMS? And the simple answer is yes, and you can 100% do that with Smoobu as well.
Is Anthony working for ChargeAutomation or?
I don't know.
I'm paying Anthony under the table for
yeah, exactly. Here is Anthony. It's cool.
Yeah, no, this is like a relatively new feature at with ChargeAutomation. We're really excited about because it's been such a big ask from our customer base, saying like, I want to automate this. I don't want to have to check. Can I actually offer this upsell? So we built it in. And Anthony, what you can actually do in ChargeAutomation is set how many hours or maybe like how many days or how many hours you want as that gap for that late checkout to show. So then it really gives your team, the ability to act on the late checkout.
Awesome. No, that makes sense. There's one other question actually from, I think we answered this one when it comes to, this is actually from Frank M. He asked, sorry, and again, I don't think it popped up on the system, but that's cool. I've found it here. He asked, when it comes to upsells, how much can a short term, okay, no, we answered that one. How can sorry, apologies for that one. We already got answered that one. That's regarding that was the original question that we had before. How much can we generally make? If for some reason it didn't show up with his name there. So that one question went to Frank M. Thank you very much for that. Mm-hmm. I don't think we have any other questions. So I don't know, Jannik, if there's anything else you want to add or finish with at all, because I think we can wrap things up right now.
I could talk hours for this about this. I do love the topic, and I usually bring it up with hosts, right? Because it's the beauty of it. If you decouple it from the sheer business side, is you can put in so much creativity and personality to your listings. You can make it location specific. If you're in a wine region, sell some wine packages, sell some wine tastings with partners. If you're in a super mountainous regions, sell the e-bikes, sell the rental parts for it. There's so much things where you can actually deliver so much nicer guest experience and make the stay so much more memorable for everyone, which in the end is what it's all about, right? So to make it worthwhile for the guests. So best case, they come back, and like we Germans do. I know my parents are going to the same house at Lake Garda in Italy for the last, I don't even know how many years. So there is repeat customer value in there. Make it worth everybody's while, and they will come back.
That's the dream.
No, absolutely. Beautiful. No, if you create that great guest experience, I mean, we have a similar thing. People come back to us time and time again, especially, and like I said, if you can just create those positive experiences, that's what matters the most, and making sure it works. So I just want to add that again, the combination of both Smoobu and ChargeAutomation, it's a very slick experience, and it's seamless for guests. So I know I'm doing the whole touting thing here, but ultimately I've used other tools, and it's a really, really good experience. And it works on both ends, not just for the guest, but also the property manager. They need to be able to use a tool. So the combination is a really great one. Not biased at all, but yeah. All right, great stuff. Jannik, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming and joining us.
Thank you both. It was a blast.
Yeah, it's cool.
Happy to do it again.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Well, we'll definitely hold you on that one. Great stuff.
Okay, so on the screen is just some QR codes if you want to reach out to myself or the ChargeAutomation team to talk about, how to optimize your upsells, how to set those things up. Of course, Jannik, we also have your information here. Reach out to Smoobu. I know you guys are doing a nice, try out Smoobu for 2 weeks, 10% discount, which is fantastic. So yeah, jump in there. See how the integration works, and looking forward to talking to everybody.
Great stuff. Thank you, Austen. Thank you, Jannik. Great stuff.
My pleasure.
Look forward to the next time. I'll bring my wife next time. I think it's probably what everyone wants, actually.
Oh, she's gonna, she'll talk about the everything.
She'll just tell me off. Anyway, that's all good. I shouldn't say that. I hope she's not watching this. I'm in big trouble now.
You're in trouble, yeah.
Totally, yeah. It's recorded as well. All right, great stuff. We'll see you all later. Cheers, guys.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.